So I wanted to talk about a couple personal experiences that I've had in my life. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm on the cell phone.
So far, so good.
It's working.
Okay, good. So I've had a couple of personal experiences, and I've thought about ways in which a religious person might interpret them to, be something supernatural. And so I wanted to share them with you, and then I wanted to summon up my courage and disagree with you on something, Matt. So my first experience happened when I was 14, and I was in an accident that left me with a lot of brain damage and almost killed me.
Which makes everything else you say today suspect, you know. Go ahead.
Yeah, I actually turned out pretty normal.
I'll be the judge of that.
All right.
Go ahead, Tyler.
So I was in the hospital for a couple weeks, and I lost my entire memory from the accident in around 4 days from that. And I was in a pretty messed up state, but after I got discharged from the hospital, I went home, and I was laying in bed, and I was thinking about this girl that I was dating at the time, and I was remembering all the dates that we had been on and all the experiences that we've shared and just thinking of her fondly. And so I decided to go ahead and give her a call since I hadn't spoken to her since the accident. And so I pick up the phone and I go to dial her number, and I don't know a single digit. And I sat there for 5 minutes trying to think, why don't I know my girlfriend's phone number? Why can't I call her? Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, wait a minute. I have a girlfriend? When was our first date? When did we first kiss? And I started thinking of all these things, and it took me about 5 or 10 minutes before I realized that I had just imagined all of this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was so real to me. I was convinced that I was dating this girl. She actually is a real girl, and I liked her at the time, but we never went out.
You're not the first guy to have an imaginary girlfriend.
Yeah.
More common than you might realize.
Yeah, but this was...
Everybody in line for the Star Trek premiere had an imaginary girlfriend.
Yeah. But it was just such a real experience to me. It freaked me out when it happened. And ever since that day, I've been a lucid dreamer. And, I'm able to remember my dreams, and they all feel very real to me. And on a good night, I can actually take control of them. So sometimes, this is funny, I'll be at work, and I'll have a meeting, and my boss will say, hey, did you finish this last week? And I sit there for a minute, and I say, yes, but I don't know if I did it in a dream or if I actually did it. That's how real, things are to me in dreams. And so I've had to really doubt my own mind because I don't often know what's real and what's not. Of course, if the dream has like dinosaurs and aliens and stuff, then yeah, I know that.
Hey, why do you get to dismiss dinosaurs and aliens? Maybe we're the dream. Maybe you are so terrified of the Tyrannosaurus that's about to eat you that you're making all this up.
Yeah.
I've had a recurring dream about velociraptors.
Well, I think you have a very interesting lesson for all of us, and that is that the brains are fallible. They're subject to making mistakes. We're not perfect, and I think that maybe your experience helped you see that in more stark terms.
Yeah, I think I agree with you.
Yeah.
So my second experience was when I was 17, and I went camping with a bunch of friends of friends.
And Tyler, you're going to have to speed it up if you actually want to disagree with me when you're done with your experiences.
Okay. And this was a pretty shady group of people. I was somewhat uncomfortable around them because they did some immoral things that I didn't agree with. And I kind of imagined myself as like being this, I was pure and like I kind of, projected my spirit. Have you guys ever seen Dragon Ball Z? I know this sounds really dorky, but it's kind of like Dragon Ball Z, where they're powering up. It's kind of like that.
The imaginary girlfriend makes so much more sense now.
And since then, I've been able to reproduce this effect at will, and it's physiological. It's not just a feeling, because I feel something coursing through my bloodstream, and it causes me to get goosebumps. So I thought that was an experience that someone might have had, where they felt they got goosebumps and, oh, it's God, making my hair stand up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now on to the disagreement, Matt. In earlier episodes, you've said that you listed, I think, personal experience as one acceptable reason, in your opinion, for believing in a God. Am I right?
Kind of.
Okay.
And actually, I said something almost identical a few minutes ago. Then that is that if somebody has had a personal experience, that it may be true that their belief is then justified.
Okay. I don't really buy the personal experience argument, and here's why. Well, first of all, I can't draw a conclusion from someone else's personal experience about the existence of God or not, because that's going to happen between
Right.
the person and the God or the voice in their head.
Right.
However, I can look at all the reported personal experiences and draw conclusions from that. I see that people have, personal experiences about God, about Yahweh, about Allah, about, all different gods. And so what you have to look at is, okay, so if one of these religions is true and one of these gods is real, what's with all these other people? They could all be lying, or they could all be schizophrenic, or they could just be mistaken about their conclusions from a certain experience that they
So
had.
far, we're in complete agreement.
Crap.
I agree, and I've said this from my point of view. Seeing this diverse range of claims of personal experience, to me, is evidence that the best possible explanation is that they are all wrong. But to the individual, that's what I mean when I say they may be justified. For example, if I'm sitting at home this evening after the show and after dinner, and there happens to be a God who exists, and he reveals himself to me and demonstrates that it's true, and I don't know specifically what that would entail in order to convince me that it was not a delusion or anything else, but if there was a God, certainly they'd be able to accomplish that much. Otherwise, there's not a lot of point in giving them the title. But if they convinced me, and then that was it, then the only thing I could ever do is say, this will never be justification for you, but I've had an experience that serves as justification for me. The difference is between that, and if it happened to me versus all the other people who think that it's happened to them, is that I'd never come on TV and tell somebody else that I think they should believe based on my experience. A revelation is necessarily first person, go read David Hume, and everything else is second-hand and hearsay, and it can't possibly be justification. But I'm just saying, I don't think they're actually justified. I can't make an argument either way. But they may believe they're justified, and I'm open to the possibility that it did happen, that they would be justified.
I think the short version is that we can't argue with someone else's personal experience, right?
Well,
I do think that you're right, though. The caller's right, though, in the sense of the aggregate, right? All these people who have had these revelations haven't really advanced the world very much. It's like, okay, well, so what?
And if you're one of those people, out there who have had some kind, if you think God talks to you, or you've had some kind of dramatic revelation that has convinced you, I don't think that one quite qualifies, but there are plenty of people out there that would. Then ask yourself this: why the hell are you so special? What about all the other people throughout history who have been desperately trying to find an answer to all of this, desperately seeking out a God, people who wanted nothing more than to be ministers or to fulfill those obligations, people who have studied the cosmos and peeked under every rock, people who have hit their knees and prayed for hours on end and asked God to reveal himself to them, and they get squat, and yet you get this special treatment. What the hell is so special about you? And the people who think that God grabbed the steering wheel to save them from being in an accident, what makes you so special? And why would you worship a God who seems so capricious about who he's going to reveal himself to? Doesn't he love everybody? Aren't we all entitled to these
mysterious.
Kind of
That's the answer. He's mysterious. That's the rationalization.
Yeah, it's a big old mystery, and if you're comfortable with that, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. Just wrapping up, so if I had a personal experience, I would immediately doubt it just because based on the, quote, experiences that I've had that have turned out to be false all the time. So that's all that I want to share with you guys.
Okay. See, and now I don't know, Tyler, because on the one hand, if you relayed one of your personal experiences to me, I'd immediately be doubtful because of your history, but because you're automatically going to be more skeptical of your beliefs or your experiences because of the problems you've had before, I might actually believe you more.
Right? A little self-doubt's a good thing, yeah.
I'm not going to be dogmatic about it, but, you know, it's going to take more than one little thing happening to really convince me.
The tortilla's not going to cut it.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Tyler. Appreciate it.
Thank you.